Welcome to the Spiritual and Empowerment Living with Tia podcast, a sacred place and resource for spiritually centered women who want to go from the mundane to the magical life, for overcoming fear and doubt, reconnecting with the goddess, understanding messages from spirit, and uncovering your spiritual gifts so you can finally live the life you deserve. Hey there, spiritual trailblazer, and welcome back to another episode. I'm very interested in the information I have here because there's a lot of things going on, and I had to do a little bit of a deep dive. And it's interesting to do this homework coming from a standpoint of a student who is just like, okay, let me understand more of this and see where this takes me. And that's pretty much how Teoscope got started. I wanted to dive more into understanding the cosmos, the zodiacs, and really how that impacts us as the moon phases enter in the zodiacs and, of course, its planetary correspondence. So let's dive into it. Teoscope, full moon in Gemini, and the lunar penumbral eclipse. And I had to practice saying that because anytime I see a P and an N close together, I feel like the P has to be silent, but there's an E there. Anyway, so if you're new to the Teoscope episodes, this is not me giving a horoscope about this phase. It's rather me sharing the information of this moon phase and how it impacts us. So I'm not an astrologer. I'm not diving into that. I just, as I was saying, wanted to understand what these energies meant. Just because I know over the years, myself included, people act a little weird during certain times of the month. And what I learned is that it's not just because of a menstrual cycle. It has a lot to do with the moon. And like I said, planetary energies that are really impacting us. There is truth to that. There is a path that's worth going down, okay? Because you will find that, no, you're not crazy. It's really just you're having that external influence or influences, I should say. So in a nutshell, I do some research about what the hell is going on, right? With the zodiacs, the moon, the corresponding planets, what it means, how it impacts us, and some things we should do about it. So from time to time, I will recommend a spell, a ritual, maybe just some downtime, some self-care practices. It all varies. And so we are tapping into a little bit astrology and astronomy. We're looking at a lot of things, but I'm going to make it as simple as possible. That's why I'm reiterating this, because I don't want you to get overwhelmed. I got overwhelmed looking up this information. So easy to do. So I try to, again, put a little bit in layman's terms, not saying that I know all the fancy smancy terms with this, but I just wanted to make it a little simpler so that way it's a little easier for us to understand. All right. Now, like I was saying earlier, the planetary influences. I like looking at what day the full moon falls under, or the new moon, or and other episode I will do. I'll talk about like the crescent moon and all that. I like looking at the day of the week it falls under because there are some energies with that too. And I don't really see too many people talking about that. So regarding that, I did a series of blog posts about magical days of the week. And it really just breaks down the star, the planetary celestial body correspondence, deities, elements. It breaks it all down. So check it out. You can go to blog.tiamariejohnson.com. You could type in magical days. That's with a K. So it will be MAGICKAL, days of the week. And then you'll see the series there. All right. So the moon phase, it's a full moon in Gemini during Sagittarius season. That's a mouthful. Full moon in Gemini during Sagittarius season. And the Sagittarius season starts November 23rd. All right. So we are pretty much well into the Sag season. Now, I wanted to also look at some of the traits of Gemini and Sagittarius. Again, I don't see too many people talk about the zodiac sign the moon is, or excuse me, not the sign, the season, zodiac season the moon is in. I have seen, moon in Taurus, which was last month, but I don't see too many people combining that with the actual season. So I wanted to look at that. So as a refresher, or maybe you're not sure, the Gemini, some of the strengths include that they're quick learners, talkative, adapt easily, which is why some people call them a little bit two-faced. I think they're just really good at adapting. Some people may be that way. And some of the, I don't want to say weaknesses, but things that need to be worked on, Geminis can be inconsistent and indecisive. Now, my rising sign is a Gemini, so I can attest to some of these things. Okay. Sagittarius. I know so many Sagittariuses in my life. When I read this, I was just thinking about all the experiences I had with them. Strengths, generous, idealistic. Some of the things they need to work on, they could be impatient, want things done their way. If I remember correctly, Sagittarius is a fire sign. So dot, dot, dot. I think we can fill in the blanks for that one. All right. So what is a lunar eclipse, right? Because it's not just a full moon. It's a lunar eclipse, full moon, penumbral. Had to practice that word again. And I'm going to tell you what that means too. So a lunar eclipse occurs when the Earth's shadow blocks the sunlight. So otherwise, it's reflecting off of the moon. And there are three types. There's total, partial, and a penumbral, which is what we have now. And so the penumbral is when everything is aligned. So the sun, the earth, and the moon are aligned. I feel like it's part of a movie where, like the sorceress or sorcerer wants to do something like, okay, once every millennia, all the planets align. Well, in this case, the earth, the moon, and the sun are aligned. So we're going to talk about the importance of that, but that's what that means. So if you start doing some research, I'm always telling you to do more homework. So when you do the research and you look up lunar eclipse November 2020 and you think, what the heck is this penumbral? That's what it is. It means that the sun, the moon, and the earth are aligned. They're in a row. They're on the same page. Now, I'm going to attach a link here for some of the research that I got because I really like this website, horoscopefriends.co.uk, and it goes on and on and on because it really gives good insight into the full moon, lunar eclipse in Gemini, and it's always good for you to do more work, to read it, to help you understand more about what's going on, because I can tell you it, but I'm always, always, always encouraging you to cross-reference, learn more, take notes, because we absorb a lot. And sometimes we have to read or hear something several times. This has been also scientifically proven. We had to hear, receive, experience things several times before we get it. Of course, there are some people who, they're one and done, they get it. But for a lot of people, there needs to be a certain repetition. Okay. So make sure you check out that link in the description for this episode. Now, this full moon falls on a Monday. And in my previous TIA scope, when I was doing the research, I saw that that moon phase was in between 2 days. And when I did a little more, I learned that it has to do with a time zone issue. So I don't want to say issue, but it was in relation to the time zone. So I'm not sure if maybe you'll see the full moon on Saturday or excuse me, not Saturday, Sunday instead of Monday. I got an app for you, Deluxe Moon. Use that app and it will tell you the exact day the full moon or any moon phase is on. I talked about this many times. I love it. So it'll have your location and it will tell you the exact date. There's an arrow you can tap on and it literally will show you the moon phase as it's going from, whatever, new moon to full moon, and you can get the date there. But so where I'm at in the Northern Hemisphere, it is on a Monday, and Monday is named after a moon. So Monday was Moon Day. Okay. And then over the years, like most languages, especially the English language, it just got watered down. So what used to be a long word became short. The example I give, or the modern day example I give, is when people say, "How are you doing?" or "What's up?" Right? Like, "What's up?" Then it was "Sup." Like, it just went from "What's up?" or it went from "How are you?" "How you doing?" "What's up?" "Sup." There's SUP in a text. So, that's just how languages work sometimes. Okay. So Monday was once called Moon Day. So we're going to look at the moon, the celestial body of the moon, because the moon is not a planet. But you'll see it for, just to make things easier for people. All right. So the moon has to do with feelings, Monday, feelings, intuition, feminine energy. And again, you can refer to the blog post for more information, Magical Day of Monday. But this is going to be a time of heightened intuition, of course, because of the full moon, but it's like a double whammy because it's on Monday. So you got that Monday energy. And so you may want to drink some more water. Okay. Get in touch with your intuition, your feminine energy, which is just receiving energy. Male energy gives off energy. Feminine energy receives, also nurturing. Again, you can dive deeper into that, but that's it in a nutshell. All right, so you may be feeling during this time like things are starting to align, because remember, the earth, the moon, and the sun are aligned. But the flip side of that can be that you can't see the alignment. And so you're feeling a little antsy, you're feeling a little nervous. Okay. The example I give for that is, think about pool, or billiards, as some people call it. When I used to play pool, I would see sometimes the balls be aligned, and I would say, "Oh my gosh, like I can hit this ball," and I don't know if it's called friction or energy, whatever, but the one ball would hit the second ball, and the second ball would hit the third ball, and the third ball would go in a pocket, right? But I can see that perfectly when I would get low on the table before I took my shot. Now, looking above, it looked like, yeah, they're aligned. But sometimes when I would get low, I would see, oh no, the balls are slightly off. And other times it was, they're aligned, I'm going to make it in the corner pocket. So what I'm saying here is that flip side of can't see the alignment. Sometimes it is aligned, but we're so busy looking at so many angles, so busy trying to figure out how some things are going to pan out. We're trying to figure out how it's going to happen. We just get overwhelmed. Our nervous system gets all razzled dazzled, and then we miss the mark. Okay. I can't even begin to tell you how many times where when I didn't get low sometimes, and I thought, oh, I got it. And I didn't, because the balls really weren't aligned. I was just looking from a wrong angle. So spend some time to look at the situations you're going through from different perspectives. This is not a time where you want to just make a rash decision. Just take a breather, take a few steps back, and look at all the angles. Because really, things are starting to align, even though it looks a little bit crazy right now. There are always things going on in the background. So just keep that in mind. All right. The moon being in Gemini really helps us to manifest that need for change and spontaneity. So that's probably what you're feeling right now. I know I've been feeling like a change in certain areas in my life, and No, Dad, like, I got to do it now. And I remember, wait a minute, take a few steps back because it's so easy to do, to be like, you know what? Ugh, I'm going to do this. And sometimes it is good to be, spontaneous, but we really had to be careful, especially as we get older. Sometimes it's not always the right decision, especially when we are emotionally charged. As the saying goes, talk when you're angry and you'll make the best speech you'll regret. Sometimes you just say a little bit too much. All right. Now, because it's Gemini, you are most likely going to be more talkative, whether you're having a lot of internal thoughts, so your mind is filled with chatter, or you really are just talking too much with people. All right. Again, take some deep breaths. Let's do one now. All right. Nice deep breath. All right. And give yourself some time. Now, when I did some digging, I came across that this is the first Gemini eclipse in 8 years. So the last time this happened was in 2012. I can't remember what happened in 2012, but I know it was not a pandemic. I haven't even written my first book. My first book I wrote in 2012. So I was really on the cusp of about to write the book. The first book took me about a year and a half, something like that. So I was probably getting the nudge to do it, which is interesting because that's the change. That's the things coming aligned to write the book. Very interesting. Now, this is a great time for us to get rid of the stale thoughts. So we may be thinking, again, which is why we want that change. So if you're thinking the same thoughts, if you're thinking, is this it? If you're thinking, what can be done? This is the time to evaluate what can be done. What paths can I take? What changes can be made? And it's just, one brick at a time, okay, to make these changes. Now, this is also a great time to put the past behind you, because when things align, this is not the time to bring up past stuff that's not going to help you. Now, full moon, there are some different schools of thought here. I mentioned this on the previous Scope, where for the new moon is also called a dark moon. That's a time of reflection. You may even want to dive a little bit into shadow work. The full moon, your energy is heightened. You want to release that energy to the universe, the things you want to manifest and so forth. But also, you can look at it from a different perspective where you can look at, well, what's holding my energy back? I have this heightened energy. I'm feeling a little crazy, a little nervous. What's going on here? And when you look, you think, wow, yeah, I got a lot of old thoughts, stale thoughts. I gotta make room for change. Why haven't I done this? Why am I so lackadaisical with this? You start to do some internal work. You start to bring up some things, and if you're honest with yourself, then you can really get to the bare bones of the matter and clear it up so you can release your energy properly. You don't want to release that static energy that is just not really put together well. Sort of like when you're around someone who wants to play the victim and they just spew their energy all over the place. It's going here and there and there and here. It's just not well coordinated. So you can spend some time to look inward. There's nothing wrong with that. Like I said before, at the end of the day, follow your intuition. Okay. There have been times during the full moon where I've done nothing, no spell, no ritual, no thinking, nothing. Sometimes I will forget, okay, there's a full moon. All right. And then other times I go all out. So, really think about what's best for you. All right. Now, this is going to provoke some feelings of what's going to happen the next year, the year after that, like a long-term vision, which is appropriate in a lot of ways, considering a lot of us want to get past the pandemic. We want to get back to doing things socially without wearing a mask, without thinking, oh my God, this person coughed one too many times, without thinking all the thoughts that come with a health concern. So yeah, I get it. Definitely. But also think about your life and your long-term vision. Now, you could think 5 years out, 10 years out, 20 years out, visualize it. Okay. And when you're doing that, you don't have to hold on so rigidly to it, right? You just think about things that you would like to happen, visualize it in its entirety, meaning what are you wearing? Is there anyone around you? What's the weather like? What are you doing? Okay, think about all that. So it's sort of like a vision board where you put all the pictures together. Okay, you're thinking it all the way through. All right. This is where you can either go at a moderate pace, you know, in this process where you're thinking, okay, I want to change. Of course, there's that spontaneity part. You can do that from a moderate perspective, just going at a steady pace, but you might want to feel like you want to do the fast track. Again, be careful with this. Okay. You got to pick and choose what you can go to fast track, where you're just steamrolling through, you're focused, your head's down, you're going full force. Okay. If there's something that you really want to dedicate yourself to, because you're thinking like, I hear you, Tia, I understand, but I really need to speed up the process with a situation. Okay. One, make sure that it's something that can be sped up. Okay. A lot of things are out of our control. A lot of things are in our control, but we have to understand what those things are. And if we try to speed up the pace with something that isn't meant for that, then we mess up the flow. We don't appreciate it. We may even miss the mark of receiving it in its entirety because we're so busy trying to get to the end. Okay. That's something you have to do as a sidebar. That's something that you really have to think about. What can I do in a situation, and what can't I do? Okay. Now, as far as the moderate part to change, this is where you do the one brick at a time, as I was saying. Have an exit strategy. Okay. And give yourself time to do this. Okay. Create a timeline. Focus on time management. Dedicate 1-2 hours to something to help you towards that change, whether it's changing jobs, leaving a relationship, attracting a relationship. Okay. You can spend time envisioning how you want your relationship to be, right? So think about that. And then you can work over time, build it up slowly. You may start off with a visualization. Then you might work with a candle. Then you may go outside and take deep breaths. Go look at the moon. Okay. You can just, again, that build up process, one brick at a time. All right. Enough about that. Now, what does this full moon and lunar eclipse in Gemini mean for you? Because I talked about what we're feeling. All right. That nervousness, that need for a new beginning, change and all that. Like, what's all that? How can we put all that together? Okay. Let's look back to last month's full moon in Taurus. Slow, an earth sign, grounded, right? Which is why I get the need for, okay, change, be spontaneous, let's go, right? And plus Gemini is all about communication. So like, how can I communicate this? How can I get this going? All right. This is the progression here, right? That slow to moderate to let's speed it up. But again, be careful what you're trying to rush. All right. This is where you're going to start to enter a lot of conversations. So this full moon is going to be a highly emotional, conversational piece for you. Okay. So think about that. What are the emotional conversations that you need to have? And also heads up, because it may be presented to you. You may be on your merry way. You're drinking your water. All right. You already soaked in the moon energy by looking at the moon. Well, actually, you may not be able to see it in certain places, but because it's perfectly aligned because of the eclipse. I forgot about that. So you may be. I had to double check on that, honestly, because now I'm just thinking about it. Anyway, you can still pick up on the full moon energy. Like I was saying in previous episodes, you feel the energy of the full and the new moon 3 days before and 3 days after the date of the full moon. However, I have talked to certain people, and I have experienced this before, where it was more than 3 days before. I just noticed a change, and I looked on my app. I'm like, oh, okay, full moon coming. Again, some people have that school of thought of, no, it's 3 days before and 3 days after, but some people feel it beforehand. And people have messaged me about that. Like, hey, I'm feeling this way, but the moon isn't until like 5 days from now. Like, it happens. All right. So when you are working with this lunar eclipse, things are coming aligned. Okay. This means this is a time to explore our options. And I was talking about that earlier, the path you need to take. But this is the time where you start to get committed. It's not just a simple, maybe I should do that. Maybe I can look into that. No, this is the time where boots to ground is happening. Okay. This is where you really are exploring your options. This is no longer a dream. This is no longer just a thought. This is you having conversations with people. This is you having conversations with yourself about what would this path look like? Like, what would it actually look like? What would it cost me? What weekends do I have to get out to dedicate to this change? Like, actually, what does it look like? Okay. Now, because it's Gemini, those little butterflies of communication, okay, there are going to be times where people are going to mistake what you're trying to communicate, right? So when you are doing this process of really understanding what you want in a situation, make sure that you are clearly communicating your needs and your wants and all the factors involved. Okay, because that's one of the factors involved with this full moon lunar eclipse. Okay, and Gemini, because there's that communication piece. All right, you really need to be effective with your communication. It's imperative because there's too many heightened emotional factors involved. Okay, that can cause what you're trying to say to get easily misconstrued. So really think about that. All right. Now, when you are doing this, because of all the energies involved, your nervous system, I touched on this earlier, and I was saying we're going to talk more about that. Well, here we go. Your nervous system is going to get razzle dazzled. Okay. And, incorporate the pandemic where people are already at their mental peak with this. Okay. They have even more anxiety. There's a lot of things going on. Make sure that you are doing things that will help you to maintain some level of being calm. And I don't normally say, oh, just be calm, because that never really helps when you tell someone at a heightened state, just remain calm. Can you just calm down? It's like, no, don't tell me to calm down. I have seen this firsthand with people in arguments. Don't tell me to calm the hell down. Okay, so really, this is the time where you need to figure out how you can have moments of serenity, because as things are coming together in this eclipse, this lunar eclipse, is going to be times where you make a decision and you're wondering, oh my God, is it the right decision? What if it doesn't pan out? How am I going to do that? Sort of like what I was talking about earlier with the overthinking, because you're looking at it from a different perspective and you're trying to figure it out too much. Okay. Don't let this happen. Okay. It's just too much energy going on. So pay attention to your nervous system. Are you shaking a little bit? Are you easily irritated? Maybe you just want to sleep more. That's okay, especially during the full moon. Many people just sleep more. But take note of that. Are you a person who tends to sleep more when you become overwhelmed, mentally exhausted? Like, is that something you do? Okay. Think about that. Now, when you get to this point where you explored your options, you realize things are coming to line, you are clearly communicating, you're understanding your emotions, how they play in the situation, and you start to be more aware of your nerves and everything that falls underneath there. Now you can figure out some of the things you can do in between the options you are exploring and the end result. Meaning, when you are detaching from that, you're still on that path of reaching that point. But there are certain things you can do to help you with this. So let's look at the things you can do, because we looked at what does this full moon mean? Again, the things coming to line, the the communication aspect, the intuition aspect, the emotion aspect, okay? All that's playing a part here in your decision making process for the changes you want in your life. Now, what to do? This may be the time where you want to focus on, and I'm trying, and I have to reevaluate this even more because of certain restrictions of where we can go and what to do. But if you are near a beach and ocean, actually, no, I'm sorry, I take that back. Maybe there's a pond by you, because if there's a beach, there's too many people probably. If there's a pond by you that you can go maybe early morning, so there's less people, so that you can socially distance. If you can't do that, you can always resort to the shower. Okay, water flowing, the warmth of the hot water, it can help you get rid of that nervous tension. It can help get all the chatter out your mind, get your thoughts out. Okay, because again, there's a lot of communication going on. All right, it helps you with that. And of course, there's going to be some information overload, because you're going to look at your options for the changes you want to make in your life. And as I said earlier in this episode, I got overwhelmed looking up this information. Okay. So, a nice hot shower will always do the trick. Okay. So for the things to do, uh, go for some walks. Okay. Whenever you can, early morning, evening, in the afternoon, maybe if you can still socially distance, taking those deep breaths. And I believe that Gemini is an air sign. So actually, I'm going to look this up for you real quick. Okay, yes, so I just checked. Gemini is an air sign. I know I love air, just natural air feels great. That air, when the breeze touches your cheek, it's amazing. So, go get some fresh air whenever you can. I don't care if you go to the door of your house, get that fresh air. That's going to help with making decisions. And here's why. When we become angry, when we are frustrated, when we are trying to find the right words, we're not taking deep breaths, because we're trying to get things out in one breath. Remember, in an argument, You want to say all these things. And let me tell you something. And by the way, you're taking these quick breaths and you're not really thinking. You're just like sending out a bunch of verbal daggers, right? It's just one after the other. But when you take a deep breath, right? When someone gets on your nerves and you're at work, but you don't want to go off, you take that deep breath and you go, Jenny, I said I'll get to it. I'm working on something right now. I'll get back to you by the end of the day, right? You gather yourself, you recenter yourself so you can respond in a way where you don't have to get out of your character and you're not allowing that person to get you out of your character, okay? So take those deep breaths because that allows messages to come in from spirit, that allows you to get your thoughts together, that allows you to think of a different perspective. Ding, 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 ding. That's another keyword for this episode: perspective, spontaneity, changes. Okay, there's a repetitive thing going on here. All right. I can't begin to tell you how many times taking a deep breath has helped a situation. All right. Now, you want to also work on finding out actually like facts and figures that will help you during this time. Like I said, this is not the time where you're just going to be daydreaming about changes you want. You're going to start to put these changes into action. Okay. And some of the best things you can do is, as I was saying earlier, how much does this cost? What will be expected of me? What needs to happen? I've been doing this recently where some of my endeavors are requiring my time. So not necessarily money, but it's requiring more hours of Tia. So I thought to myself, you know what? This is worth it. This is something that I want to do. So you have to ask yourself, what is it costing you? And is it worth it? Okay. The great thing about Geminis is that their ability to adapt. And when they are interested in something, it's like they have a childhood or a childlike perspective. That's another word, ding, 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 perspective. Meaning that there's a new sense of wonder. There is that new beginning feel. It reminds me of, and I don't remember which Star Wars because it's like a bajillion movies, but it's this one clip or one part where Obi-Wan Kenobi, and again, forgive me if I mispronounce it, it's been many years since I looked at Star Wars. He's trying to find his planet. He cannot find his planet on the map. He just can't. He goes to Yoda and he tells Yoda, I cannot find this planet. I'm trying to go to this planet. I cannot find it. So Yoda asks the child, and the child goes, maybe it's not on the map. Like maybe someone erased it or something like that from the map. And Obi goes like, what? So it's like that, a grown man, all that power, and here there's a child answered a simple question. Maybe someone, it's not there. So think about that. How can you, in this new endeavor, this change you want to make in your life, look at it from a childlike perspective? Like, in other words, how can it be easy? Now, I know I said one brick at a time, but for some people, it's like, well, what does that even mean? What does that look like? Where I'm going to get this brick from, right? You start to go down that rabbit hole. Keep it simple in the beginning. Keep it simple. Do some research. Talk to some people, the people who you trust, right? The people who want you to succeed no matter what. Okay. Take some notes, so save some website links that you look up. Okay. And start there. Just keep it simple. And then it will get a little bit complicated as you start to get more involved. But in the beginning, one step at a time. Okay. Just one step at a time. Keep it simple. Have that childlike vision where this world is new and adventurous and endless. Okay. Now, another thing you could do, this is my personal favorite, dance party. I mean, you have a lot of energy going on. Okay. This gets a little bit intense because, again, there's a lot of energy. You got that Sagittarius fire energy. Then you got the moon energy, which is like the opposite. You got water and fire. But they are, well, all the elements are powerful, but you figure Sagittarius, fire, transformative element, okay, illumination, all right, so lighting a path. Then you got the moon, water, okay, flows, but also, water is not the element to be messing with because I think tsunamis, okay, it can take some stuff down, right? Both signs very powerful. Both signs represent different aspects of us that are cleansing in a way. Water cleanses us. The fire creates heat that also cleanses us. Okay. And I can go on and on. But, use that energy and dance. Put that in your dance. Drink some water, dance. Um, you can even say, like, as you're dancing and you feel that heat, you're getting hot, you're getting warmed up, think about the energy you want to release, okay, to the universe. Hey, universe, the change I want is with my job. The change I want is in my relationship. The change I want, or like love relationship. The change I want is, money, health, whatever, or just in general, like, hey, my life feels a little stagnant right now, or whatever it is, right? Hold that intention, and as you're dancing, release it to the universe. Release mean as you dance, twirl your hands, spin around, rotate your hips, breathe in and out, and then imagine that energy just coming like from your feet all the way up to your hands and push it out to the universe. That's it. All right. And that is one of the best ways you can release your energy during a full moon. Of course, there are other ways, but dance like no one's watching. Okay. And create a playlist and do that. All right. Um, of course, you can listen to holiday music if that's your thing and bake, but this is a time where you want to release energy. But if you feel like, Tia, bake is my thing, that's just, me pouring my energy, my love into the bread. Okay, cool. I'm not going to argue with you. That's what you're feeling, then that's probably what you should do. All right. Now, again, there are many things, but I'm going to end that there because I could go on and on and on. With each moon phase, full moon, new moon, waxing, waning, the energy at its core will be the same for that phase. So full moon is always heightened energy. New moon is always a time for introspect. But you compound that with the zodiac, the planet, the day of the week, the season, and then that's where you get the full picture. And of course, we can always look at your personal zodiac, but just to get your sun sign really isn't enough. It's a snapshot of a bigger picture, So just start there. Okay, so what I gave you is a pretty good start. We know it's on a Monday. This is the recap. We know it's on a Monday. So you have that moon, intuition, feminine energy. This is a time where we're going to receive messages, receive our visions of what we want, that change we want in our life. Okay. Then we have, and that's a double impact, full moon, and then on Monday, moon day. Okay. So this is even more heightened energy, heightened intuition, heightened everything. Okay. Then we have the Gemini air, communications, the element of air has to do with wisdom, intellect. So you are going to be on a very smart path. You're going to make smart decisions. Okay. And again, this isn't me doing a horoscope. This is the sign. All right. And you being in tune with this energy. And then you got the Sagittarius. And the reason why I didn't like to say their weakness is because sometimes having things your way is a good thing, and other people may not like it. So the Sagittarius, that fire sign, that this is how I want it. This is a time for you to be communicate clearly what you want. No, this is what I want. This is how I want it to be. Right? You're setting boundaries, you're setting standards. Some people may not like it. You may get called names, but guess what? You're going to be all the better for it. Now, will there be times where people are like, hey man, like it really doesn't have to be that way? Of course. But when we look at it from a standpoint of, well, I don't want to have a confrontation. I don't want to impose, and we just look at it as a completely bad trait, then guess what? Now we're not sending the right communication to the universe. So you got to claim it, you got to own it, you got to speak up, and you got to speak clearly. Okay. And then with the, oh my gosh, I got to scroll up my notes because I had to practice Penumbral. With the Penumbral Eclipse, things are coming in your path in a way where it's going to be aligned. Okay. So don't get so caught up in what looks like it's not coming together, because sometimes a disruption is just what we need. And I had a recent disruption where I'm like, you know what? That was the catalyst I needed to make the change that I've been wanting to do anyway, but got too comfortable. Okay. So some disruption is good. Okay. Just like having it the way you want it is not always bad. Okay. Remember the analogy I gave you with the pool balls. Okay. Look at it from one angle, they look aligned. But then if you get down on the actual level, you can see, oh no, they're actually slightly off. Another example I'll give you is regarding change and movement and that stagnant thoughts I was talking about earlier. When you're on a train or when you're driving in your car, you yourself are not moving. You're sitting on the seat, but the car is moving, the train is moving, the plane is moving, right? The plane is getting you to your destination. Now, if you're on a plane or a train, someone else is taking you there. And if you're driving, yeah, you're doing the work, but the car is still getting you to that destination a little faster than walking around a bike, but it's getting you there. And that's how it is a lot of times in life. The pilot, the train conductor is spirit. And you're taking a seat because you did your work. You got on the train, you got on the bus, right? And now spirit's like, let me take it from here. I'm going to get you to your destination. But meanwhile, you're just sitting there. You are not moving, but the train is, and the conductor is getting you there to your endpoint. And you in the car, that's when you have control. And sometimes you don't, right? So look at it from that standpoint. Do your due diligence. Dive into this this full moon energy. Do some extra research. Click that link in the description. See what works for you. You may even go as far as to see how it applies, like I said, to your zodiac sign, sun sign, and understand deeply the things you need to do. And that's the point with these telescopes, is to understand at least some of the things you need to do and what you can do about it. Okay. So it's just not, oh my God, it's a full moon, I'm crazy. It's like, no, you're right. It is a full moon, but you're not crazy. You just don't understand what's going on. And so we put these labels on it because we don't understand. So it must be crazy. It must be some wacky thing going on. No. Now you're conscious about it. Okay. Now you can look at it from the standpoint of, it's a full moon. Let me go, get my water or my special tea that I drank during a full moon. Let me not meet up with anyone. Let me not do this, because I know during a full moon, I like to be in my own space. And now it's a full moon, lunar penumbral eclipse. I really want to be in my own space. So, look up more information about this lunar eclipse. Like I said, I'm not sure we can actually see the full moon because it's a line. I had to look into that. And I didn't think about that ahead of time. I don't want to add more time to this episode. So you can definitely look that up. You can Google it. But the energy is still there. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not there. Okay. So, Spiritual Trailblazer, that's what I have for you for this Telescope. And I'm just scrolling down on my notes. I want to see what's coming up next. No, this is the last episode for November. Wow. All right. Well, December, you're in for a treat. I have some lovely guests on. I have an episode where I'm going to get a little personal. I have some tips for you for the winter season. So yeah, December is going to be fun. Well, I hope that you had a lovely Thanksgiving. Check out the previous bonus episode where I talked about gratitude, and there's a freebie PDF download for you in that episode. So as always, I'm sending you many blessings. I am rooting for you, and remember to be kind to yourself. Until next time. As always, Spiritual Trailblazer, thank you for tuning in. Do make sure to stop by and visit me at tiamariejohnson.com. Also, don't forget to subscribe. Last but not least, be kind to yourself. I'm rooting for you, and I'm sending you so many blessings. Until next time.